18-year-old Brian Holmes is behind bars after firing multiple rounds at a woman's SUV during a road rage incident. The incident occurred just before 6 a.m. on the 15th of September, when a woman was driving southbound along State Road 415 in Volusia County, Florida, and a car came behind her driving erratically with no headlights on, driven by Brian. Brian's erratic driving caused a nearby vehicle to drive onto the shoulder. Brian then tried to drive between that vehicle and the victims, making contact with the victim's rear bumper. The authorities said that's when the suspect drove alongside the victim's SUV for several minutes, before opening fire out of the driver's window. 7 shots were fired into the woman's car, though she was not injured. Investigators used license plate reader technology to identify Brian's car and residence. Within half an hour of the shooting, deputies were at his address along Arcadia Street in Deltona. Brian is captured on body cam entering his car as he tries to drive out of his driveway, but he was stopped by deputies. When asked if he had a gun on him, Brian said no. When his hands moved towards his waist, an officer grabbed his arms and moved him away from his car, and a handgun fell onto the driveway. Brian was taken into custody and was questioned. He told investigators that the woman's SUV had cut him off in traffic and hit his rear bumper. He said he fired several rounds at the SUV, saying he was trying to hit the tires and disable the vehicle. Brian was charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, discharging a firearm from a vehicle, shooting into an occupied vehicle, and possession of a concealed weapon used in the commission of a felony by a person under the age of 24. He's held at the Volusia County Jail with bond set at $40,000. 23-year-old Brian Taylor is behind bars after allegedly fatally shooting his co-worker, 22-year-old Zachary Stewart. The incident occurred at around 5:30 p.m. on the 16th of September at a Hyundai dealership service center located at 298 East Halsey Beach Road in Slidell, Louisiana. The authorities said that the two men who both worked at the dealership had been feuding for several days. When the bickering escalated, and Brian walked into the service station and fired at least one shot at Zachary, killing him. Brian then fled the scene on foot and ran behind the dealership into a wooded area. Brian was located and was arrested at just after 9 p.m. and is charged with manslaughter. An autopsy will be conducted in the coming days. The reason for the fight was not immediately known. Zachary was a car salesman at the dealership and he'd recently moved from Cullman, Alabama. He had no fixed address in Louisiana, so he was staying with some friends at West End Boulevard in Slidell. Zachary's family called his death a senseless act of violence that just didn't take a life, but it took the life of one of the most caring individuals you could meet. Slidell Police Chief Randy Fandel said, "An argument should never result in this level of violence. This was a senseless killing that should never have happened. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all those affected by this incident." The authorities in Sylacauga, Alabama are investigating a recent homicide and are seeking the public's help to find the suspect. At around 12:30 p.m. on the 17th of September, officers responded to Wood Street on reports of shots fired in the area. Upon arrival, officers found a grey Dodge Challenger sitting in the roadway. They then found 23-year-old DeAnthony Elston in the car with a gunshot wound to his head. He was pronounced dead at the scene. DeAnthony will be transported to the Alabama Department of Forensic Science in Montgomery to perform an autopsy. Central Alabama Crime Stoppers is offering a reward of at least $1,000 for information leading to the identity or the arrest of the person responsible for DeAnthony's death. A man fatally stabbed his wife before stepping in front of a semi-truck, killing himself in a murder-suicide. The couple have been identified as Jason and Jessica Ray, both 45 years old, of Madison, Wisconsin. Madison Police Chief Sean Barnes said that deputies responded to a report of a dead body at the couple's home on the afternoon of the 11th of September. Upon investigation, officers discovered Jessica's lifeless body. She died from multiple stab wounds and blunt force trauma to her head. As officers tried to locate her husband, numerous calls started to come through to 911, indicating that the man had been struck by a vehicle, but not seriously injured. After being struck, Sean said the man got back into his car and drove to Interstate 90. Sean said he once again got out of his vehicle on foot, and this time stepped in front of a semi-truck. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Jessica and Jason both worked as physician assistants at the University of Wisconsin Health Medical Facility. The couple are survived by their 3 young children. It's unclear if the children were at home at the time of the attack. 40-year-old Robert Palmley Jr. is wanted for questioning over the fatal shooting of a 52-year-old man. The incident occurred at around 10:15 a.m. on the 16th of September, when the authorities responded to an alley in the 1800 block of North Lyon Avenue in Springfield, Missouri, on reports of shots fired. When officers arrived, they found a man inside a car with multiple gunshot wounds. He was pronounced dead at the scene, and was later identified as 52-year-old Charles Tart. During the initial investigation, police said they identified Robert as a suspect. The authorities said that he fled the scene following the shooting in a silver 2006 Ford Expedition with Missouri license plate reading TJ2G1L. Lieutenant Mark Foos from the Springfield Police Department said the shooting was a result of a disturbance, but did not elaborate any further on the matter. The man remains on the run, and the authorities are appealing to anyone with information to come forward.